Emmanuel Trujillo heads to scoring position for Nicaragua, and San Francisco Giants prospect Elian Rayo steps into the batter's box to try to advance him to third. And on the first pitch, Rayo does the job, and the game-winning run is now 90 feet away for Nicaragua here in the bottom of the 10th.
It's the second time he's laid down essentially a perfect bunt. And man, this is the one thing with the extra inning rule, runner on second, which, you know, say what you want about it. I've got no problem with it whatsoever. I like the rule. It creates a different strategy. But if you're the bottom, if you're the home team, man, you have the upper hand, because you know the top. And a lot of times in Major League Baseball, if you're the away team, you're trying to get those 2 runs. If you can, you shut them down. All of a sudden, you are in the absolute driver's seat, and that's what Nicaragua have right now.
First opportunity here in the bottom of the 10th to try to walk this thing off with a man 1 station away. It'll be Freddie Zamora, and in baseball's cosmic way of always putting us in these situations, Zamora is the guy who was retired on the hidden ball trick and now gets a chance to try to end this game as the 1-0 pitch is down and away to him. It's 2 balls and no strikes. Ryan, take us through. I mean, in this circumstance, if you're in that third base dugout, if you're Neil Adonis, it's a 2-0 count right now. You want to be careful.
You're not getting him a strike. No, and that goes from the start of the at-bat. Don't give him anything to hit. Ooh. I mean, too close right there. For Dean Jacobs. Don't try and sneak back in the count. Get that force. You can see right now Adonis is basically saying, just, hey, look, put him on.
So it'll go as a walk for Freddie Zamora here. That intentional 4th ball puts him aboard.
And the other element here too, look, you've come all this way from South Africa. I'm just going to take you inside the shoes of Dean Jacobs right now. The thoughts start getting heavy. You start to think, oh man, you're going to be perfect right here. The minute you try and get perfect, just like we saw that last at bat, you start missing big. Then you get 2-0 counts, and then it's game over. Easier said than done, but you just have to go pitch by pitch and dismantle, knowing the hitter is going to be aggressive.
First pitch is ball 1 to the new catcher into the game, Ronald Rivera, who entered here in the 8th. Rivera trying to end it. 1-0 fouled off first base side. One thing to keep in mind right now, South Africa had the infield drawn in with 1 out and Trujillo over at third. They are back now playing for a potential double play up the middle. If you can get something hard hit and turn it, we're headed to the 11th.
Yeah, the corners stay in. That double play up the middle, that's all you care about.
Big block there by Tyrone Milne, and it keeps everybody in their places. So Trujillo remains at third, Zamora over at first, but a hitter's count now for Rivera at 2-1. And a big spot here for Dean Jacobs. And a tapper out in front of the plate that got the foot of Rivera, so the count will go even. And a huge pitch coming up here, because if you can get a strikeout and avoid the ball being put in play, then you set yourself up for an out on anything else that might send this to extras. And if you're Ronald Rivera, you're just trying to get this to the outfield. 2-2, runner off from first, and a flare to right field is down, and Nicaragua walks it off in the 10th. What a game.
Now, what a heartbreak, too, for South Africa. But on the flip side, Nicaragua finally broke through. You can take that breath. You've secured game 1. Not a whole lot of offense. We go back to the drawing board and get ready for tomorrow. But, man, what a game. In those little moments, those little situations, they can haunt you if you're South Africa. But if you're Nicaragua, this is kind of what we saw them piece together to qualify for the last World Baseball Classic.
Ronald Rivera, all you needed to do was lift something past the infield, and the backup catcher who came into this game in the 8th inning, able to just fling the bat head out and get a piece of that pitch to serve it the other way. and drive in the game-winning run for his squad. I mean, what a way to start this thing. A wild one on day number 1 here in Taipei. But Nicaragua right now, I mean, you're in the inside lane. You know you've got the tough draw. Obviously, anybody's draw against Chinese Taipei is the tough one. But for Nicaragua, you're in a much better spot because you don't have to face them tomorrow. You're going to be facing a Spain team that's coming off of a night game tonight. This is a monster win for Nicaragua.
Yeah, it is. And look, we talked about the lack of offense, right? If you leave this game saying, oh, hey, we have to wake the bats up, yeah, sure. But on the flip side, they didn't make any mistakes, and they made some huge defensive plays. What about the play at the top of the 10th, too, to get the out of third base? So you have to walk away from this and say, look, we are rock solid. We're doing the little things. We've got plenty of pitching left in the tank to take on Spain tomorrow. They're going to be exhausted after tonight. We know that. So Nicaragua, man, you've got to feel good about leaving this one up to 2-1 here against South Africa.
We saw a few years ago during the qualifier just how excited Nicaragua fans were to have their team in the main tournament. We talked yesterday a little bit with Sandor Guido about his team and the work that they did in the U23 Baseball World Cup to move on to win a bronze medal. He said, you know, it wasn't an easy time difference, but we had fans who were waiting up back home in Nicaragua to watch our teams to get a win on day 1. A monster step for Nicaragua, and obviously some heartbreak on the other side for South Africa.
And look, you know, for South Africa, you just got a shot at that dugout. I've been there before. Sometimes, and I'll admit this, sometimes you'd rather lose 5-0 than a game like this. But man, great way to start this World Baseball Classic Qualifier.
What a finish to this one, as Nicaragua will move on to tomorrow to take on Spain. And for South Africa, it's a difficult draw tomorrow against Chinese Taipei, as things don't get any easier for any of these teams. As we welcome you back in our booth here upstairs at the Taipei Dome, Ryan Rowland-Smith, Tyler Maughan. But what a way to get this thing started today. For Nicaragua, we talked a little bit yesterday with Sandor Guido. You go through the qualifier in 2022, you win your way through, but then you get to Miami. They only scored 1 run in each of their games in the opening round in the 23 Classic. Said, are you frustrated being back here in the qualifier? He said, no, we're excited. This is an opportunity for us, and they showed up today in a big way late.
Yeah, and look, just back to that point, right? Now, they go to 2023 World Baseball Classic, and then, again, they're forced to qualify. But any time when you are a nation like Nicaragua, you're trying to build the youth program, any chance you can have that experience as a team, that brotherhood we've seen on the dugout, we saw it before the game and right there after the game, it just helps you if you are to qualify for 2026. But, man, what a game. We talked about the offense. We saw that, again, we saw that in Miami, but we saw that the qualifiers from Nicaragua just taking a little bit to get going. But they did so many things right today, Tyler. Didn't swing the bats, but defensively, they were on point. Plenty of pitching, too. Madrano was outstanding, and a tough one, South Africa on the other end.
For South Africa, a tough one to take as a loss, but some good stuff to build off of. The thing that stands out from this game, no walks for that South Africa pitching staff, which going in against Chinese Taipei tomorrow, you cannot add things to what that Chinese Taipei offense already does well. So something to build on for tomorrow in that matchup.
It is tough, and we saw the reaction in the dugout. Heartbroken. You have to move on quick. The game turns around quickly. They've got Chinese Taipei in front of a packed house tomorrow, and we're going to see you later on tonight as well.
Congrats to Nicaragua for a big win on day number 1. And coming up tonight, as Spain and the host squad, Chinese Taipei, will get going inside a raucous Taipei Dome. 40,000 plus expected on hand here tonight in the Dome. Nicaragua into the winner's circle after day number 1. 2-1 winners over South Africa. We'll talk to you later tonight from here in Taiwan for Spain and Chinese Taipei.